So what's the private problem? You think government's better at prisons than private organizations?
Yeah, there's some things that should not be for the profit motive. Like we would never say that, like, oh, the military should be run by profit companies.
So like a not-for-profit private organization, perhaps?
There's no such. Well, I mean, you're talking about
no such thing.
You're talking about like a non-profit organization, but they're not going to run a prison.
Why not? They can run all other kinds of charities. What's wrong with running a prison?
Because it's not a charity. The reason nonprofits do charity,
it's a benefit to society that a lot of law-abiding citizens would be more than happy to.
Can you name a single nonprofit that runs a prison in the world anywhere?
Not currently, but I mean that's our current system. I'm not saying how screwed up our current system is. I'm just offering solutions.
Well, the solution would be to end the for-profit system, to focus more on rehabilitation instead of punishment, to change some of the laws that send people to jail for minor drug offenses. Yeah, that would be kind of the solution along that track.
I'm a closeted ANCAP, so I could actually argue for-profit prisons, but that it's pretty obvious there's high levels of corruption inherent in those systems. So that's why I said as long as you can separate the for-profit prisons from the judicial and police systems, I don't see any problem with that. But eventually they're going to find each other and collude and get into the horseshit. So we already know that's a no-go.
Well, you don't want keeping people in jail to be a profit motive. If there's a profit in
What's
that,
wrong with that?
Well, because then people are going to naturally stay in jail longer because the profit is in keeping people in jail. So therefore, people are going to wind up staying in jail
again
longer.
If the private prison is not responsible for the people going to prison, but simply holding them there.
Do you think that when someone goes to jail, it's like they just that's it? During the prison system, the prison is the one that determines, for example, whether they get written up, and that determines whether they get passed in the parole hearing. That basically, if you're living in prison, it's up to the prison, the warden, and the staff there to decide whether you're going to essentially get marked down for something you did do, something you didn't do, and that will affect whether you get parole.
That's why you require full transparency, and including even government can monitor it if they want to. They don't get to run it, but they can certainly monitor everything, all the day-to-day activities and all that sort of stuff. So what's wrong with that?
Because you have the incentive set up to promote the wrong thing. If the incentive was if they got paid based on every person they rehabilitated, and they got paid on like the prison that got the lowest recidivism rate got paid in some kind of bonus, then maybe you could make an argument. But
so governments would never be influenced by incentives or lobbying or colluding with crony capitalists or anything like that? Is that
governments can be corrupt, but the level of
government that's not corrupt?
I'm sorry. Do you think the prison system is more or less corrupt than the government?
I think it's corrupt because of the government. It's an extension of how corrupt our entire government is, including the crony capitalists.
So do you think if we had an all-private prison system, things would be better?
Definitely than the government system. It wouldn't be perfect, but it'd be way less corrupt and way less problems than the government system.
So walk me through how this works.
So let's say as a libertarian, I would tolerate a small limited government that's in charge of the judicial system and even has a hand in the police system. I still think the police system can be private as well, but I'll just grant
fucking Lord.
I'll just grant you a small government judicial / police system. Now, if that's separate and apart from, say, a private prison company, the private prison companies can't force people into jail. They're just taking the people that the government already deemed as criminals and gave them the trial.
Why, if they get paid based on having the person in jail, what is their incentive to rehabilitate that person instead of just fucking them up more?
That's up to the incentive program. Are they being incentivized to rehabilitate their prisoners or simply jail them for X amount of time and then release them as the government requests or whatever?
So the private prisons would get paid based on their recidivism success. So if they, for example,
they would get paid on running a business about whether or not how much electricity costs, how much concrete costs, how much security guards cost.
That's not how does the prison system make a profit in your worldview?
The same way they make a profit in every other business in life. You can make profit, making water.
Well, the government,
you can make profit, growing food.
They're not selling, but they're not selling their services to the market. Their customer is the government.
That is the market. The government is paying them to
the government
jail these people.
The government is their their one and only customer. So it's up to the government to decide.
The only customer. They could also jail, private arrests as well.
Private arrests as well. Who's performing these private judicial arrests and private
people that break the law and that don't need to involve the government police, like the FBI or whatever, to arrest you?
So who's gonna, like, a citizen's gonna arrest another citizen and like
I said, I'm okay with private police, but I was granted
none of this makes any sense.
Just make it simple.
Wait, how does I'm just curious about the concept of like a private arrest. How, like, so a citizen arrests another citizen, and who gives them jail time?
The private prison.
So the private prison is now also in charge of like giving people time. So the private prison is in charge of the judicial.
If you have a corruption problem, again, you can either create
just answer the question.
A branch of the government that monitors and checks on the system to make sure it's not a colluding system in which the same private company that owns the police also owns the jails, and therefore will just arrest everyone for profit.
A private company can put you in jail.
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay, I don't even know how to respond to that. Yeah, private company can put you in jail. That seems like a great idea. What would happen if the person?
Do you own property?
It's irrelevant. What would happen if the point?
No, it's not irrelevant.
What would happen if the person? What would happen if the person who is arrested by a private company doesn't want to go to jail?
So if you own private property and someone trespasses onto your property, normally you have to wait for the government police to show up. Some companies have these things called private security, which are on site and ready to arrest or detain or whatever.
They can detain. They cannot give sentences.
Right.
The police still evaluates.
Under the current system, under a different system, it would be feasible for the same private police system to then put them in a private jail.
So you would have like a warlord type of situation, like Somalia, where basically like there's factions, and whoever has the most powerful faction has the most power, and everyone else is sort of.
Oh, you mean like the government that has a monopoly on it and steals your money? You mean like that kind of warlord?
Where would you rather live, Somalia or America? I'm just curious.
I'd rather live in America before it became an immoral, socialist, authoritarian shit.
How about now? How about the 2024? Would you rather live in Somalia, which has much closer to what you want?
1776 America.
You can't. Well, fortunately, you don't have
without
a time
the slavery.
You're not going to answer the question.
I answered your question. I know you don't like the answer, but that's okay. You just like to lick boots. It's okay.
Traveling in time is not an option. This is just
say I like to lick boots. They're delicious.
Just where would you rather live in 2024, in America or Somalia? Somalia has a system that's much closer to what you're describing.
Oh, Somalia has privately owned police forces and privately owned prisons in which they are regulated by their small government, which is controlled by the freedom-loving.
Yeah, Somalia does have private.
Somalia
does have private militias. They have private militias. Where each warlord has his own militia.
Okay, so
and they all disperse their own version of justice.
One more key ingredient you're missing. Does Somalia have a Christian-based morality?
I believe it actually is. It's a part. I think it's mostly a Muslim country. I don't know if it's Christian and Muslim or just mostly Muslim. Some combination.
Do you know the difference between Islam and Christianity?
Do you know the difference between stupid and retarded?
I think you're both. So no, I don't know what's the difference. Can you explain it to me?
The difference between Islam and Christianity?
Islam and Christianity. I asked him if you have Christian morality, which he responded, I don't know, Christians, Muslims, blah, blah, blah,
the difference between okay, so do you think that if it was a Christian country that Somalia would be fine? Like, let's say they all converted to Christianity.
It'd be better than the alternatives. I guarantee you it would.
Well, then why is let's say Jordan, which is a Muslim country, have so much more peace and stability than let's say let's take like Honduras or El Salvador. Let's take El Salvador, which is a Christian country.
Probably the same reason why China, which is an atheist communist country, has so much more peace and stability, because they have thought police and cameras on every corner. And if you say anything negative about the government, you disappear into the gulags. That's why this is what you're
that's not actually how Jordan works.
This is how reality works.
You're thinking of Saudi Arabia.
Authoritarian governments that control everything you think and say and do and live and breathe. And this is what you're arguing for. So go ahead, please.
Jordan's King Abdullah is very westernized. Jordan's a very westernized Arab country. That's what it is.
So, anyways, if you have a Christian morality, a capitalist economy, and a libertarian government, it is feasible to pull off private security forces, private prisons. And then I would draw the line there because you don't want privately owned judicial courts, because that's where there's a conflict of interest. So the very, very, very small limited government, their role is to enforce the rule of law and to enforce.
Well, if it's a very small limited government, then what's to stop one of these private companies that have the power to arrest people from overtaking the very small limited government?
Well, Alex,
are you an ortho, bro? You sound exactly like them.
Just answer the question. Stop dodging.
What's to stop a freedom-loving people that want small limited governments? I'll tell you what stopped it. We tried it in America. We got lazy, and we allowed the socialist authoritarians like you to take over. And now we're up shit creek.
It's funny that you think like you understand my politics. I'm not even like nearly.
You're arguing against it, so
I'm actually in some ways like on foreign policy and social issues. I agree mostly with libertarians, but your view is just insane. The question, the question was is really simple. Just can you answer without like dish galloping? Okay, so we have a very small limited government. The government is not that powerful. It's very small and limited. And then you have all these private companies that have the ability to arrest people, for which they're going to require weapons, right? Because you can't arrest someone without weapons.
Tasers, whatever, pepper spray.
Well, no, they're going to require guns, because if people have guns, then the people who have guns can just...
That's true. I don't have any problem with...
so the private security... Yeah, so the private security company is going to have guns, right? So what's to stop the private security company from overtaking the government?
Alex, I have the problem solved, whether it's a private prison or a governmental-run prison. I believe I can cut the prison population down very quickly if
legalizing marijuana.
If the first 24 or 48 hours when a prisoner or convict is sent to prison, if we have mandatory anal prison sex, that will deter a lot of crime. So if a guy knows that he's going to get ass fucked within 48 hours of going to prison, he's not going to want to go to prison. And that is how we cut the prison population down.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure that already happens unofficially in prison, so I don't think you really need too much legislation for that.
Government prisons, definitely.
We make it mandatory, Alex. It's mandatory. You have to get ass fucked the first 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, and who has to do the ass fucking? What if the guards don't want to ass fuck someone else?
And with that, Sarah, I'll take my leave.
Wait, just answer my question before you go. You just dodged it.
It always goes down.
Wait, just have him answer the question. He's been dodging it for like 3 hours. Just answer the question.
There's always going to be some horny fucking convict.
Oh, okay, sorry. I don't want to be accused of rage quitting, Sarah.
Not rage quitting. Just answer the simple question.
So to answer your question, what stops good and intelligent people from having our personal responsibility?
Not the question at all. Once again, just listen to the question.
Stop just galloping and let me answer the fucking question.
No, because you're changing the question.
So
you're changing the question to one that you want to answer. The question is, what is to stop one of these powerful private security companies
for a while
from overtaking the government?
Shitty ideas.
I'm not even giving an idea. I'm just asking. I can't do this with
gentlemen.
Someone's talking about ass fucking. Someone's changing the question. Like there's too much shit going on.
Spicoli, shut up for a minute and let the men talk.
All right,
I'll just answer Sarah.
Don't. I know you really don't want to answer this question, but try to answer the question.
I'm going to dodge the question. I'm afraid of you, Alex. You scare me.
I know because it's such a simple question that you cannot answer.
That's okay.
You've been running from it for like 10 minutes.
I know. I've been gish galloping, and I'm so duplicitous.
I know. It's funny that you're sarcastically saying the things that you're doing.
I know, gish galloping, and I just keep gish galloping. I know.
Alex,
well, you refuse to answer the most basic question ever.
I'm addicted to.
All I had to do to have you was sign up for tier 2 of your Patreon. 'Cause you're my Patreon girl, and your love for me depends on how much money that I pledge to you monthly.
Now, we got through the entire night with nobody getting all upset or interrupting each other and yada, yada, yada. And here we are at like the last little tidbit.
And then Alex showed up.
And then you two can't get along.
I'm chill. I don't even know this.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I5. Please answer the question because now I want to know what
I'm going to
the private companies
answer the question to Sarah. So I'm not talking to anyone else on panel. I'm on my way out. Sarah.
Okay.
So the thing that causes our libertarian governments to fail, like the first one,
anal sex. It's anal sex, Sarah.
Shut up, Carrie.
I'm not talking to anyone else but Sarah. Is the immoral socialist
answering a totally different question, not engaging the question at all.
Hold on, let me get the rest of the sentence off.
Well, make him answer the actual question. He's just answering a question that no one asked him.
I don't know what his answer is because I want to get.
He's just going like a fucking virtue signal. Okay, go ahead.
Let me get the whole answer.
Okay.
Anal beads is his answer.
Ah, Jesus.
Can you speed date with me real quick, Sarah? I've got hot feelings for you.
Oh,
okay, so anyways, the answer to any crayon eating retard that doesn't speak English, the reason why moral capitalist libertarian governments fail, kind of like we created a long time ago, back in the early days of America, was because good times make weak people. And those weak people just let all of those immoral socialist authoritarians right inside the door and take over everything, little slice by slice. And before you know it, we're arguing about crony capitalists and fascist governments, and it's too late because you can't vote your way out of that shit. So there's your answer. That's why it fails. So in order to maintain your freedoms, you got to water that tree with the blood of patriots from time to time. So there's your bedtime story. Kids, don't forget to brush your teeth, eat your veggies, and vote Emperor Phi of Conservataria. And with that, I wish you all a good night. Adieu. Blessings, love, and kisses.
Bye, I-Fi.
Homie didn't answer the question in one bit.
I didn't feel the answer either.
He was answering a question that no one asked him. What a fucking dipshit.